you all know, we are recording this session. Um, we know that we're going to be seeing many of you at the Success Convening later this week. Many of you are going to be joining us for those sessions. So we do plan on keeping it to a hopefully short session today, because we know that we're going to be revisiting with you all this week, and want to make sure that we are preparing you for those events. Today, we are going to be talking about building an entrepreneurial mindset and non-employment-based opportunities. And today, we're focusing on you all in terms of providing you resources for you to advise students on career pathways. If you haven't noticed, our last couple of PC Power Hours have been really career focused. The Success Convening is also very career focused in helping practitioners work with students in their career fields and making sure that they are fully informed of their career pathways. So we've been leading up to this and really providing the resources to you all to advise students and work with students on this major issue, right? So with that being said, let's jump into the agenda. So today we're going to be giving a little bit deeper dive on independent contracting. I know that we've been using that term for some time right now, and really want to go a little bit more deeper into that, so that when you are talking and advising students on independent contracting, that you have the context, the information, and the resources needed to really help out students with this. So we'll start with the context, and then we're going to be talking about some of the trends in the overall workforce market, in specifically regarding independent contracting. I think it's really great to be able to framework for students what that looks like, so that they can really start to envision and place themselves into that workforce and what that looks like for them. Finally, we'll be providing some resources. As mentioned, today's session will actually be hopefully a short session, but I have to tell you, it is jam-packed with links and resources and guides. So all of the reference information that you will need and be able to use for advising students, like you can literally use this PowerPoint deck as a reference guide to be able to access all of those different individual guides and resources for when advising students. As always, we will open it up as an open forum. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your challenges. We want to hear everything that is going on with you, so that we can properly put together the context and provide support for you all in providing this information for our scholars. And then we'll finally conclude the session today with some updates, some quick announcements and updates. Okay, so for context, over 3,000 students of our scholars completed the 2020 T-Scholar Survey. And as you all know, for the last few years, because DACA has been on pause, over 80% of our incoming scholars every year are coming in without work authorization. So we at TheDream.Us have really made note of that and have pivoted in the way we are advising students on their career pathways, and also how we are assessing their career needs. And so one of the questions for that survey year was asking students if they plan to be self-employed or an independent contractor or a freelancer someday. As you can see, over 50% of our fully undocumented students indicated that they were not sure or definitely no, right? So while our students are aware of their status and the limitations of their status, and that they will most likely not be able to work in a traditional career path, this is evidence that many of them are still not sure about how to go about their career paths, what career paths are available to them, and if they are even planning on being entrepreneurs or independent contractors at some point throughout their careers, right? Which is very telling, because we know that for our students without work authorization, they may not have any other choices. So we really need to make sure that we are providing them that services, that we are informing them of those pathways, of the opportunities that are available to them, and really sort of making sure that we are bridging the gap for that, right? You will see likewise our DACA and TPS scholars, over 50% have also identified that they were not sure or definitely no in becoming a self-employed independent contractor, right? And so while these two populations are different, as we know with the current state of DACA, and that it is still potentially in the process of being dismantled, in the future, these two populations could be really facing very similar challenges when it comes to being employed in the workforce in the future. Moreover, scholars were asked if they knew how to pursue their careers without work authorization. Um, and this stat is even a little bit more alarming, right? So we have over 80% of our students who are fully undocumented, who do not have work authorization, identify that they didn't know. They didn't know how to pursue their careers. In without work authorization, what they were going to be able to do as their careers, how they were going to be able to utilize the degrees that they were actually going to school for right now, right? And we see a similar rate with our DACA and TPS students. And again, as I mentioned, with the current state of DACA, this is just as alarming for students who may not be prepared in losing their work authorization and transitioning to being able to work without work authorization in this current climate, right? So what this all really sort of highlights is a real need for our scholars in being able to understand these pathways and how to begin to work in developing themselves to go into these pathways. The flip side of that coin is that you all also need the resources and to be able to advise students. And we've been hearing it from you guys, letting us know that you are in more need of resources and guidance on being able to help students provide those pathways and really sort of organizing themselves and creating those mindsets. And that's why we are putting these sessions together. That's why the success convening is primarily focused on career pathways, because we want to be able to provide you the tool sets for you to be able to advise students and really sort of help them get on track to that point of graduation, right? So again, I want to hear your feedback. We want to hear more from you, but hopefully you'll be able to use today's session to as a stepping stone and as a guide and as a reference for you to have information, tools, and resources to further help your students develop these career pathways. Because we know that they ask us questions, we know that they email us, but we know that they're coming to you on your campus for that individual guidance and feedback. So we want to make sure that we are positioning you as best as possible to have those tough conversations and really provide the guidance needed. So let's start with a little bit of a foundational perspective. First, I'm going to start with the really dry definition. And of course, it's dry, it comes out of the IRS website. For the general rule of thumb as an independent contractor, as stated by the IRS, is that an individual is an independent contractor if the payer has the right to control or direct only the result of the work and not what will be done or how it will be done, right? So again, super dry, super IRS terminology, right? Um, Basically saying that independent contractors, the employer is basically able to dictate what the sum of the services that are being provided, but they're not able to dictate how those services are being provided. Um, and that the independent contractor actually has some flexibility and some autonomy in terms of the way they provide resources, right? I would suggest that you guys click on the link here for the IRS website, including this definition. There's a lot of information on paying taxes and how to pay taxes as an independent contractor. That may be useful information for you to have as well as you are advising students. And we'll also touch a little bit of base on that on the next slide. But before we get there, I want to also highlight a definition put together by the New York State Youth Leadership Council. The YLC is, if I'm not mistaken, the largest undocumented student-led group in New York State. And they have tons of resources and amazing guides. This is out of their entrepreneurship guide. And as they define an independent contractor is a self-employed person who contracts out their services to others on their own terms. And I think those are one of the keywords, some of the keywords in that definition is that the independent contractor, again, gets to dictate the hours that they work, the scope of services that they will provide, and whom they would work with, right? So there's a lot of autonomy and there's a lot of flexibility on the side of the worker as an independent contractor that you do not see when you are in a traditional employer-employee relationship. Again, I have linked the guide here for the Leadership Council, and I strongly recommend you review that. It is an amazing guide to help students who want to go into entrepreneurship. Paying taxes. So as your scholars are looking at becoming independent contractors, they are essentially sort of like self-business owners, right? And so they will have to pay taxes, which means they will be required to have either a social security number or an ITIN number. I want to make note to some of the additional resources that can be found on our website. You will see the ITIN guides, which was put together by my colleague, Nicole Wesley, who did an amazing job at really putting into these guides so that scholars know how they can obtain an ITIN number if they already have an ITIN number, and really gives a great synopsis in terms of the entire process. So I'm sure you guys have all read it already, but just wanted to make another plug. Nicole has also facilitated 2 of our YouTube series. One is ITIN Open Doors and Tax Matters with Professor Francine Littman. If you haven't been able to attend these sessions live, as I noted, they're all posted on YouTube. The sessions are amazing. Professor Francine Littman is phenomenal at really providing some context for our scholars, specifically on obtaining ITINs and paying taxes. And then there are open sessions where scholars are able to ask their questions live, and Professor Francine Littman always does an amazing job at really answering their questions and providing them some context of how to go about their questions and next steps, right? So since independent contractors are basically sort of like their own businesses, one thing that students really need to be mindful of is this is not like a traditional employment where you are taxed, right? That FICA automatically comes out of your paycheck. All of those federal and state taxes and Medicare and all of those things automatically come out of the check. Students and scholars need to be aware as they are venturing into independent contract work, they must make sure that they are withholding their revenue, roughly maybe 50% of that, in order to pay their annual and quarterly taxes, because that money will not automatically be coming out of their payments as independent contractors, right? So you want to be mindful of that, especially for people who are going into this new. They may not be aware of that and then may find themselves in difficult situation come tax season. But again, check out the links. The videos are great. Professor Francine Littman does an amazing job. Now to go into some current trends on independent contracting. So one of the things I want to point out is that anyone can be an independent contract worker, right? This is not something that was created specifically for undocumented folks or those without work authorization. It is an avenue, obviously, that they can utilize, but it is not primarily an avenue that has been created specifically for that. In actuality, it is actually unlawful to hire someone knowingly that they are undocumented as an independent contractor. However, companies, organizations, and employers are not bound by the same work authorization verification process with independent contractors that they are with their employees. So there's definitely that lax flexibility that allows those without work authorization to be independent contractors and not have the partners in which they are coming into contract with to have to validate their work authorization, right? So I mentioned this to say that anyone can be an independent contractor. I can be an independent contractor. You can be an independent contractor. We really want to make sure as we are having these conversations with students that they do not see this as just a limitation to them not being able to go into traditional work pathways. We really want to make sure that they understand that as an independent contractor, they can have fulfilling professional development opportunities where they can utilize their degrees where they've been working hard in the field of interest, that they can become experts in their field of interest as independent contractors, that they can serve and provide and support their communities that they have long sought to provide services for as independent contractors. And moreover, that they can begin to build that generational wealth as independent contractors to support their future families to come, right? And so we really want to make sure that students don't see this as a second-class citizen work opportunity, but really as a creative way that they can still fulfill their needs and really become outstanding members of our community, right? Um, while independent contract work has existed for decades now. There is an article by LinkedIn. I've also linked it here on the PowerPoint that talks about how COVID has served as a catalyst and accelerated trends for independent contract work opportunities. So employers are now have gone through the pandemic have learned the value of having a flexible workforce, right? One of the quotes of the articles talks about during the pandemic really brought forward the advantages and have employers looking at contractors as an agile, flexible, and skilled workforce, right? So there are some cost benefits to organizations, but there is also a skill um, access that comes from independent contract work that employers are really looking at right now post pandemic. And we are still seeing the growth in this in our national workforce markets, right? The article further lists that contract jobs, independent contract job listings on their websites and websites across different platforms actually went up 26% from May to November of 2002, when contrast to that same time frame in 2021. Again, looking at that same time frame, postings for full-time positions only rose 6%, right? So we are actually seeing post-pandemic a trend and actually a shift from those seeking full-time positions, both from employers and individuals, shifting into being more of the independent contract framework and wanting to pursue those types of opportunities. The article continues to talk about projections for the years to come. And it's a really great article. Again, I really encourage you to read it, as well as the another article by MOB Partners, where they really are talking with recruiters, VPs from recruiting companies, from some of the largest organizations in the country. And economists are looking at this and saying, this is something that is not going to stop. This is not a phase that happened during the pandemic. People have now gotten used to this type of work, and this is an area that is going to continue to grow in our economy. And they have made predictions that it would go from a $355 billion industry in 2021 to up to $873 billion by 2028. So that is just 4 years from today. They are already predicting exponential growth within the next 4 years of almost doubling the size of that economy for independent contractors. Based on these trends, what they're seeing is that companies and large organizations have now sort of spawned this phrase of quiet hiring, which means they're repositioning their current employees who have particular skill sets into other positions that they may have not been sort of initially hired for, because they need those in-demand skills in these areas, right? Where they are unable to shift their current employees, they are looking for the independent contractors market. Those are the ones that they are tapping in for those in-demand skills in these areas, right? So again, this is a phase, and it is a trend that is continuing to grow and really is starting to develop their practices in terms of the way they recruit for their companies. Now, when I say in-demand skills, I know you're probably thinking like engineers, medical backgrounds, and all these other things. And I was just as surprised as you are probably. Um, they are actually saying that they are not looking for those hard skills. And for the upcoming hiring processes, more companies and more companies are looking at soft skills. They are looking for people who can communicate well, who can problem solve, who can project manage. Those are the actual skill sets that they are looking for to fulfill these positions and these slots in their companies, right? So you can click on the quiet hiring and the in-demand skill set link to get more information on both of these different phenomenals and these trends that we are currently seeing in the market today. Another really important thing is that typically contracting is looked at as an entry-level position, but more and more of these companies are saying that they are looking them for middle management roles and even upper level office work roles because of the skill sets that these individuals have and obtain. So that is another point of conversation for you and your scholars. You don't want scholars to think like, well, I'm only going to be able to, so am I just going to be an entry level person for the rest of my life? And we really want to make sure that they are looking at themselves in these roles and that they'll be able to grow in these roles and hopefully take on bigger opportunities as independent contractors in these businesses as they go towards building their own business and becoming their own entrepreneurs. In 2023, 60% of the independent contractors surveyed, and this is within the millions, indicated that being an independent contractor was by choice, and only 9% said that they just had to be independent contractors for things that were outside of their control, right? So we know that, for many of our scholars coming into these situations, it's going to be out of their control, but it doesn't mean that it can't be something that they also find fulfilling, that they will be able to utilize their education and their degrees and really make professional development opportunities available to them. Going into some of the resources, so I don't know how many of you are connected with us on LinkedIn, but we've been putting it on LinkedIn and all of our other social media contacts. The first piece I want to highlight is our I Am an Immigrant Entrepreneur series. It is an 8-part series. Every week, our comms teams, shout out to Sadana, pushes out one of our videos for our scholars who are now working as entrepreneurs. And before I go through the rest of the list, why don't we just check out the latest video?
My name is Claudia Morales Dominguez, and I started Sierra Madre Tortilla Company over a year ago. We specialize in making artisanal stone-ground tortillas using the ancient Mexican method known as nixtamal. We sell wholesale to restaurants and retail grocery stores all throughout South Florida. I graduated from Florida International University with a degree in public administration and a minor in social media and e-marketing analytics. I also achieved a degree in leadership studies. As a result of being a Dream.Us scholar, I was able to develop these valuable skills that now I apply on a daily basis when I'm offering my products to other business owners. I couldn't imagine being able to operate my business without the opportunity given to me by this incredible program. If I had to give any advice to up-and-coming entrepreneurs, I'd say try to fill up your toolbox with as many skills and as much knowledge as possible. You'll never know when you'll need to use it.
Awesome, awesome. So I don't know how many of you have been checking out these series again. There's 8 of them. I might be wrong. I think this is the 6th one that has come out. And again, Sedona is pumping them out every week. They usually go out on Monday. And we put them on Facebook. We're putting them on all of our social media outlets, right? And this is part of the concept for all of this as we are working with scholars going into these areas, right? This may have not been their plan, guys, right? So we really need to make sure that we are reinforcing that ideology that they can do this, right? This is the concept. If you can see it, you can believe it, right? So we want them to see their peers who have gone through similar situations, who have had similar obstacles and have been able to come out the other side, and really take their passions, take their education, and really do something productive where they're able to create their own businesses, support their communities, and again, be valuable members of their communities. So hit us up on LinkedIn. If you're not, repost it, share with your scholars. We really want them to see this and make sure that they are understanding that they too can go through these pathways and reach these heights, right? Um, Another part of our resources directly on our website that you can find. Nicole Wesley, again, who leads our career and supports our career support services, has been putting on again for the last 2 years, and will be going. The 3rd series is coming up, the Summer Career Series. And this is an awesome series that she does over the summer, where she brings entrepreneurs, contract workers, experts in ITINs and other individuals who have started their own businesses, who are undocumented, who talk with students, share their stories, and really sort of provide them some insights on how to begin the process as an entrepreneur, as a contract worker. And again, this is if you can see it, you can believe it, right? So they need to see their peers. They need to see our alum who are killing it, who are doing all of these great things. Do it and really sort of set an example for them to be able to materialize this themselves. So the 2024 series is coming up in late July. Stay tuned for that. We'll probably send you notifications to that anyway. But you can actually check out the 2022 and 23 series now. You can click the links. I believe there's 3 to 4 videos per year. So feel free to check that out, share with your students, but also just use as a resource for yourself and what students are asking. What is the context that they are having these conversations, so that you could also be well prepared. Also on our website, you will find an entrepreneurship guide. We have a whole webpage based on entrepreneurship, where you will find some of the links that I'm going to share later on in this PowerPoint, but there's that, and there's just much more, right? So make sure that you bookmark our entrepreneurship webpage, and just always have it as a point of reference on your computer for when you're having these conversations with students or putting together programming regarding entrepreneurship or contract work. These are some additional links to resources that you can that to help you in advising your students on independent contract work. You'll see a couple of them are from our sister company, Immigrants Rising. The first one is 5 tips for educators to help students get started as independent contract workers / freelancers. And then they have some other additional guides on that are more student facing for those who want to go into entrepreneurship or contract work. So strongly advise you to look this. Again, this is all of these links are also on our website, and there's even more there. So make sure that you go there to find all of those resources and tips and guides. We also wanted to highlight Upwork, which is a platform that really works specifically with independent contractors. And they have some guides for employers, right? And really sort of guiding employers how to hire independent, why they should hire independent contractors, and then some simple steps on how to go about hiring independent contractors. So we need to be really tackling this concept at all different levels, right? So we want to work with our institutions in providing the resources needed to advise students. We want to provide the resources to the students so that they know what they need to do. But we also want to work with the employers and really sort of having them understand the value of hiring independent contractors, the skill sets that our scholars have and can provide their organizations. And so we want to make sure if you're working with any organizations that you are also highlighting the importance and the value of hiring our students as independent contractors. And that's a really cool guide of how you can do so. Upwork also has a job posting database where employers can actually post jobs that they are looking for specifically for contracting. And then also your scholars can look at the database and apply for those positions. Undocu Professionals is very similar. It has a database where students can look for contracting gigs. And again, employers can also post their job postings specifically for contract jobs there as well. As I've been trying to sort of note and sort of provide a synopsis to this entire thing, independent contracting work is not synonymous with undocumented work, right? It is a lot more mainstream. We are seeing this growth in the overall market, so much so as you see platforms like Indeed, Jobs.com, and all of the other sort of major job posting sites and job lookup sites actually have incorporated filters on their websites where those looking for work can actually filter for just contract positions, right? So this is also a valuable asset for your scholars to have when they are looking at applying for positions or trying to find where they can find contracting gigs. So I'm going to take a pause there. Again, we went through it pretty quickly. I didn't want to go through each and every document because that would take another 3 sessions. But hopefully this does provide some framework for you in having this information at your fingertips, having them as a guide as you go through these conversations with your students. I know it was one of the most difficult parts of my job when I was working with students the last few years, and really having them come to the realization that they would not be able to work in a traditional environment. And I found myself also in need of these resources, right? So we are working hard now and really trying to get them to you so that we can properly assist students going through this process. Again, I'll take a pause there. I don't know if people want to have any questions or talk about anything. Michael.
Chris, thank you. This is super timely because I'm at NAU and we've been having these conversations about how to help and support students. So we've gone to HR about how to find more money for students. NAU is in our 2nd year. We're in Flagstaff, if anybody doesn't know, and we're trying to figure out how to support our students in terms of costs related to housing and dining. And so we thought about student employment. We went to HR. We asked about I-10. The message we got was, well, they can get pardon me if I make a mistake. I think they said an EAD authorization if they're DACA and if they have TPS. They didn't say anything about I-10s. So your presentation is superb. It's super timely, but at least for me, it sort of speaks more to students who have graduated rather than current students. Or are you suggesting we try to get our current students to be contract workers so we can hire them as student workers on campus to help offset the costs of housing and dining? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and I I know, I think maybe my colleague Nicole is also on the session with us, so I'll start the question, and then Nicole. Again, Nicole leads our career advising and programming here, so if she wants to chime in with anything that I might miss, but I would say both. One, so I think scholars can start getting I-10s as of like right now, right? Like they don't need to have graduated for that. Obviously, if they are looking into going into utilizing their degrees in some kind of freelance independent contracting pathway, they definitely will need an I-10. But they can actually start that now. They can actually work as independent contractors now, depending on the type of work that is being asked of them, right? So if you have an independent contracting opportunity on campus that you can provide students that is sort of within their wheelhouse, that they have the skill sets that they can obtain, you could always develop that. And I know that institutions have like regulations, so I don't want to go too deep into that because I don't know what your HR will say in terms of the particular policies and procedures. I know like coming from CUNY, like that would be like really difficult to get, but maybe possible in some campuses. So it really is particular to your campus in terms of what your HR is willing to do. But if they are willing to do it, I will say that you can extend those opportunities to your current scholars to help offset the cost of that. I don't know if you're also already working with Nicole on the internship or fellowship programs that we have. That might also be a way for you to provide work opportunities for your scholars where we are able to pay them through Parker Dewey. And that way your HR folks don't even have to get anywhere involved or create any contracting opportunities. And that's something that we might be able to really assist you better with. I think that might be a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more straightforward process. And then I don't know if Nicole is on there, if you want to add anything that I might have missed, or Hayne, if you guys feel free to jump in.
Yeah, Chris, thanks. I'll just echo some of the things that you mentioned to answer your question, J. Michael, which is our scholars can start entrepreneurial, independent contracting and freelancing opportunities while currently college students, or they can also wait till after they graduate, either or. And as Chris mentioned at the end too, J. Michael, I would love for us to connect to talk more so about inclusive paid internship and fellowship opportunities at NAU. As Chris mentioned, I do oversee our internship funding program and experiential fellowship program where we provide funding to participating partner colleges. I know NAU is a fairly new partner college, but that is something that you'd be able to participate in, and I'd love to talk offline and chat more about that. So I'll also put my email in the chat for anyone else who'd be interested in following up with me about those.
Was that helpful, Michael? Hopefully.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Nicole, I'll send you an email and maybe we can get a meeting on the calendar. Thank you.
Awesome. I love this. We're building bridges here. Love it. Love it. Any other questions, concerns, comments, feedback, experiences that you've already had with students in having these conversations that you want to share that we should be thinking about? I promise you I have tough skin. You can criticize me. I can take it. Let me know. Let me know. All righty. I will take that silence as gold. And again, we will be at the Success convening this week. So if anyone has things that they want to share, please find me. We will be there. If you're there, we can continue to have this conversation. So let's move on to some of the announcements really quick. So as you all know, we mentioned it last month, we are ordering graduation stalls for your graduates. If you have not already filled out the form, please do so. The deadline is tomorrow. It is a hard deadline, folks. If you do not get it in by tomorrow, I don't think that we will be able to ship out any stalls to you because we have to send that over to our vendors for processing, and the timeline won't work in order to get the stalls to you before those graduations start to come up. So if you don't need stalls, but like go into the form anyway and just list that you don't need them. So that way we at least know that you don't need them and it's not that you forgot or that it hasn't been done, right? You can find the link here. It's also been on the PC Weekly the last couple of weeks. But go ahead, click in there and make sure that you submit it before tomorrow at 5 p.m. Again, just to remind everyone, you are submitting your order for spring, summer, and fall semesters because we only do this once a year. So we need to be able to ship out everything that you need for the entire year in this one turn. Opportunity Scholarship Awards, some of you may already know, awards went out last week. Woo, woo, woo. So we have our new round of Opportunity Scholar awardees. They do have 2 weeks in order to accept the award. So as the award announcements went out around March 21st, scholars have until April 4th to accept the award. So if you are one of our opportunity partner colleges, please make sure that you view your spreadsheet on your ISTS portal to identify who on your campus has been awarded. Make sure that you reach out to them and that they are accepting the award before the deadline, that they have applied specifically for your campus, right? That they have already gone through the admission process for your own campus. I mention this all the time. This is the great time to let scholars know that you are their point of contact on the campus, right? And so that they now know that they have someone on campus that they can reach out to for their scholarship questions. This is the perfect timing for that and just sort of starting to build that relationship with scholars. And specifically for our opportunity scholars, they must start this fall 2024 semester. They are not allowed to defer. The national scholarships scholars do have until spring 2025 once those awards go out in order to enroll at the campus, at their campus. This is different for opportunity because it is a sort of more inclusive program. We do require that scholars start immediately. So if you have any scholar questions regarding deferring, unfortunately, the answer is going to be that they are not able to do that and that they must start this fall. If you have any questions regarding the award process, or if you have any questions regarding your spreadsheet, please feel free to email elena.salario@TheDream.Us. EVR reminders. So spring and Q2 EVRs went out last week. Again, go to your Scholar PC portals and download your finalized EVR. It'll have all your payment information. Again, another note that I sort of reiterate every year is email your scholars. Please let them know that you've received their tuition funding for the year, that it's going to take a few days more for it to post to their account, that they'll be releasing their stipends shortly because they're antsy, right? Like we're coming to the end of this year. They really want to make sure that their accounts are being cleared. So that one email goes a long, long way, folks, not only on your side, but our side as we are also getting those inquiries from scholars. So please let them know you've received the funding and that it will be posted to their accounts shortly. I was asked to also put a reminder, while the funds come in one lump sum, they are not interchangeable and cannot be merged. So you can't take money from one scholar, and because it's an overage provided to another scholar's account, those funds have to be returned back to ISTS because they are reallocated to that scholar, right? Like that is part of the overall scholar's pot of funding. So we want to make sure that we are not taking away their funds and reallocating them to another student incorrectly. So if you find yourselves in those situations, again, please make sure that the funds are being returned and that they're being returned with a notation of which scholar the funds are to be returned to. Q3 EVRs for all of our partner colleges that are in a quarter system. We are now accepting EVRs. The deadline is April 30th. If you have any questions regarding that, you can check out the program management guide on our website or contact the help desk for more for general information. I would say if you have any very specific questions regarding a particular scholar on your EVR, I would advise you to either reach out to Elena and Camila for those more detailed, more particular questions. Summer courses, students are asking. They are live on our Facebook page. Everyone is asking about summer courses. They're asking why some of their campuses are not on the list. So please communicate with your scholars on whether summer courses are accepted by your partner college and will be covered by TheDream.Us on your campus, and sort of just let them know that, because we are seeing an all-time high on these inquiries. And then in addition to that, as a supplement, if your campus does not allow scholars to use our scholarship over the summer, we really encourage to advise students of our partnership with Modern States. If your campus accepts CLEP exam and a CLEP credits, we do have a partnership with Modern States where our scholars can take the prep exams for CLEP courses for free. They will actually also pay the entrance. They would reimburse them for the exam fee. So it basically is completely free to the students, and they can earn credits at your campus utilizing this over the summer. So this is sort of an alternative option for those who are unable to take summer courses with our scholarship program on campus. So I want to make sure that everyone is aware of that. And again, if your college accepts CLEP exams, please let students know of this resource. You can click the link here, and it's also on our website for more information on how to apply. And then I think this is our final slide. We will be at Success Convening this week. Me, Gabby, Hayne, and Nicole will be there. Feel free to connect with us if you're going to be there. We are actually also going to be taking a group of 20 scholars who are also interested in going into higher ed and supporting undocumented students to this conference. So on Thursday, March 28th from 5 to 7 p.m. We're going to be hosting a reception. Please feel free to come by. It'll be at the Marriott Ballroom. You'll be able to meet with us, meet with other participants of the conference, as well as our scholars who will be joining us from across the country. So hope that we can see everyone there who's at the conference. Please reach out to us and connect with us. And I believe that is all. I will open the floor now for any last minute questions. If not, if you don't have questions, feel free to close out the session. We look forward to hearing from you all. And for those of you joining Success, we will see you later this week. Have a good one, everyone.